Finally, today I'm going to show you 3 bass lines on the tune Autumn Leaves that you can recycle as much as you want to, because pretty much it's a 2-5-1, 2-5-1. So every song that has a 2-5-1 where the 2, the 5, and the 1 are like 1 bar long, you can apply this kind of little, let's call them patterns, let's call like the way I'm going to play on these chords. And at the same time, if the song has a 2-5-1 in 1 bar, just cut it in half. Just use like 1 chord note, 1 approach, and then the next chord. It's even easier. Actually, having more chords, it's incredibly easier than having less chord and try to create variety around those chords. So what are we going to do? I'm going to try to apply what we talked about until now. So I'm going to do the first line focusing mainly on the chord notes, and the second bass line focus on mainly on scale approaches. And I'm going to introduce on the third bass line a little small element which is super easy to use, which is the chromatic approach note. It's super easy. Why? Because you just put a chromatic approach note on the weak tempo to try to fall down to the next closest chord note on the strong beat. So again, I'm not going to play any harmony or anything. I'm not going to have any soundtrack with me, because it's important that the bass line reproduce exactly what the harmony is supposed to sound. We have to be harmonically and rhythmically independent from the other musicians and from chords. We need to play our own chords, because that's the only way we can be supportive to the band, to music, and to people playing with you. So, okay, let's start. I'm gonna play in 2 first, and then I'm gonna play in 4. And maybe while I'm playing, I'm gonna give some directions here and there. So try to catch all the accents and all the little details, okay? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So on. See what happens? I'm just using chord notes, but see how much variety you can do just with little small rhythmical approaches. What happens now if I play a bass line on Autumn Leaves? using scale approaches. I'm going to go a little slower so you actually follow a little better what's going on. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Tired, just repeat. This is like our safe zone, repeating the chord notes. It doesn't have necessarily to be the 5th, it could be the 3, the 3rd. Then when you feel comfortable, this when we were talking about the minor chord with the measure 6. Very, very useful. Now I'm going to play another bass line, and you're going to have all the transcriptions of this, of course. Using the chord notes with one single simple approaching element, which is the chromatic approach note. We practically do the same thing we do with the scale. It means like 1, 3, 1, 3, 1. Remember when we talked about minor scale, we talked about using the chromatic approach between the 7 and 8, right? Well, when we play tempos that are not too slow, even if my example is going to be on a slower tempo, but in general, we can use the chromatic approaches when the tempo is like medium to medium up, because on a ballad, sometimes chromatic approach can be a little bit too much, too long, and it's going to influence what's on top of it. So when a chromatic approach starts to be like that E natural that goes on the E flat as a minor third of C minor, it's actually a little too long if you're playing on a ballad, for example, because it changes completely the harmony on top. The harmonic, they don't fit. The harmonics of the sound itself, they don't fit with the rest of the chords. So we have to be a little careful when we're using chromatic approaches to use them on tempos that are a little brighter. How do I use them on autumn leaves? Well, I just think about like chord note, chromatic approach, chord note, chromatic approach, chord note. It's really easy, like these simple composing tools, when I use them with control, and I'm perfectly aware of what I'm going to use, they can enrich drastically your bass lines and your solo. Because remember, solos are like bass line, a little more enriched in terms of rhythm and rhythmical phrases. So we're going to talk about solos on this kind of approach on the next lesson. For now, take the transcription, learn this line, understand the concept. Now you're able to analyze it. That's important now. Now you go on the chart, you play one note at a time, and you tell yourself, this is a scale approach, this is a chromatic approach, this is a chord note. Analyze and understand now that you have all the tools, because we talked about chords and scales. We started at least to do a little recap about it, but now you're going to be able to analyze what I'm playing, understand it, and reuse it on any song you want to play on. We're gonna keep playing now from now on a lot of songs on different keys, and I'm gonna give you all the transcriptions of what I like to play and explain you everything and how it works. Work on this, and I'll see you on the next lesson.